screen, my screen as well. Okay.
No, don't worry about it. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of CineQuest Video. This is the first episode of 2022, and we're going to be talking about strange science, weird science type of movies. Any kind of movie that has to deal with some sort of science-y type of, I guess, anomalies. I don't know if that's the correct term.
Well, it's our theme, right? Weird shit
weird.
and science.
Right. And I mean, surprisingly enough, I know this is going to shock most of you. We're going to be talking about the movie Weird Science first.
And this is kicking off. I'm calling it a 2-part series of Your Mother Was the Lightning, because that'll become apparent in our next episode. But yeah.
I was kind of wondering what that quote meant that you had in the synopsis, Daniel.
It's I can't remember if it's either from one of the Boris Karloff Frankenstein movies or what it was in Bride of Frankenstein, but your father was Frankenstein and your mother was the lightning.
Right. So today we have the usual persons joining us today. We have Roland, Grandetron this time around. Is that the way I'm pronouncing it right?
Sure. I logged in and that was the name on there. I don't remember setting.
Is that the one you put on there? Okay.
I think it's Grandetron, but I don't know.
Grandetron.
The real Grandetron?
I sound like some kind of fucking like stereo manufacturer or some stupid shit.
Well, I was thinking more like you're like or Grandetron, and like you're someone's grandma that's like of French ancestry.
Right. That sounds cooler than mine. Maybe a little less depressing.
And of course, we have Darkwing Drunk, Daniel, all coming in from our own personal studios because we've made so much money that we can house ourselves in our own studios sometimes.
Oh yeah, I mean we're just constantly growing, expanding.
These shirts. This shirt looks like canvas and trash, but it's actually silk. It's the light. You can't. It ruins the. You're not seeing it the way I see it. Sorry.
This is the finest Egyptian cotton, too, guys. We had a special deal with our vendor for our merchandise, which you can find on Teespring.
Yeah, right.
It was really great on the nips.
All right. So, again, we're going to be talking about the movie Weird Science. And this movie came out in 1985. I think around this time we had Back to the Future. There was a lot of movies that came out in 1985.
Yeah.
That were probably solidified in my childhood. This being one of them, where you get Kelly Lebrock, who's the woman in this movie, who basically made your wee-wee move a little bit, you know? That's just a little bit when you're a kid. You don't know what's going on, you know? You just go like, what's that funny feeling down there?
Oh,
it's Kelly Lebrock.
They're called balls, son. Someday they'll drop, and then you'll understand.
I couldn't help but thinking about the TV show they did from 94 to like 98 or whatever on.
I actually did watch that show. Did you watch it?
Oh, yeah.
I think it came out primarily on USA.
That's how I caught it, which might still be a channel for you zillennials out there.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I know there's an app. I use the app to watch the new Chucky series, the USA app, to watch the new Chucky series.
Oh, so it is still kind of alive. Okay.
Kind of, I guess. I mean, I haven't had cable in almost pretty much over a decade, so I have no idea for sure.
I'll try to look for that. Maybe I can put it on a Roku player and just add it to the channel.
You have to have like cable to actually watch it.
Oh,
I was only able to watch the Chucky series because I was able to sign up with my email and get 3 credits.
I thought
I had to use up some.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
So you had the free trial or whatever.
Yeah, the 3 credit trials.
Yeah, right. You watch 3 episodes of whatever the fuck you want, and we'll play like maybe 10 ads. It'll be fine.
Which reminds me, I also have to like input someone else's email to watch that last episode because I still haven't seen that either.
I don't care. I'm not gonna watch that shit.
I am. It was a fucking great show. Not Weird Science.
Get Jamie to Plex it.
He can purchase it and put it on Plex. Excuse me.
Right. That's what I meant. Plex purchase.
So again, this movie came out in 1985. Just to get into a quick synopsis of this movie, the film follows 2 geeks, dweebs, dorks outcast named Wyatt. That guy's name is Elon Mitchell Smith.
Yeah, and I looked up his IMDb, and the photo they had was
From the movie?
of him from Weird Science. Like, I don't know if he did.
Weird Science, yeah.
No, really, because he looks super familiar. Like I could have sworn, like I feel like I've seen him in other movies. I didn't look up his IMDb.
No, he came out in some movies, but he ended up becoming like a doctorate in some kind of medieval literature, history kind of thing.
Oh, that's wicked.
He actually taught at UT Austin for a bit.
Huh.
Yeah.
Honorary Texan. Dope.
Yeah, honorary Texan. And this movie also follows Gary, which is Anthony Michael Hall. This movie we've talked about earlier, Roland, Halloween Kills. And I'm not too sure if we talked about any other movies where Anthony Michael Hall.
I mean, no.
I don't think so. But I recently watched Upworld, which he was fantastic in.
I liked him in The Dead Zone. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that show.
We've seen lots of movies with Anthony Michael Hall, but I'm talking.
But I think this is our first foray into his catalog.
No, second for us because we talked about Halloween Kills. He comes out in that also.
Oh, word!
Right. And these two guys are bullied. They face constant bullying and embarrassment from their peers, specifically Robert Downey Jr.
Thank you. I was about to ask. He's one of those fucking bullies.
Do you guys think that he was like in the throes of his addiction at this point, or was this a little too early on? I kept looking at his eyes, going like, "Man."
Yeah. I was thinking like, "Oh man." Like everyone else is like they're acting that they're partying, but he's probably fucking stoned, drunk and shit.
Oh, so we should probably resume the synopsis.
And you can, I guess, I wasn't too sure how to call these guys. I mean, basically, they're just geeks.
No, yeah, they're geeks. They're not nerds.
One night after getting pantsed, after getting pantsed at their school,
in the intro,
Robert Downey Jr. and this other guy, I forget his name, but he came out in some other movies as well, 80s movies specifically. Yeah. They decide to create a woman with the computer technology of the time and Wyatt's
like that
skills.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about the science and the whole tech of it in a bit. And they actually succeed. They create a woman. Her name is Lisa, who's played by Kelly LeBrock. And I guess you can consider her at the time, she's like an 80s vixen. She's also a trickster in this movie. She has godlike powers, and she is the doorway to levels of coolness and fear their nerd hearts would have never have dreamt of.
Well, I mean,
I do want to make a quick trivia about Kelly LeBrock. If you all weren't aware of this, that she did marry Steven Seagal at some point.
Oh, bummer.
Oh, who didn't, man? I'm still trying to divorce his ass right now.
Yeah.
I just
looked up a picture of
the fucking lawyers, you know,
of her with Steven Seagal, and man, yeah,
she came out in I think it was Hard to Kill.
Yeah. Yep, that was with fucking that was another John Hughes movie, right? She also starred
Hard to Kill?
No, excuse me. No, I'm stupid.
Weird Science?
Yeah. No, yeah. Weird Science
was it John Hughes, yeah.
Hard to Kill was
I've come to accept the fact, or even come to the realization that John Hughes is basically a part of my childhood entirely, because most of his movies I've seen numerous times, and they're basically all John Hughes movies. You can go down the fucking line, like fucking Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Weird Science, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, Home Alone.
I didn't know he did Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's dope.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw
He's done a shit ton of these movies, man. And I can probably throw Robert Zemeckis in there as well. And fucking Back to the Future and like The Frighteners and shit like that. So
he did The Frighteners? I thought oh no, that was produced by fucking
Peter Jackson.
Yeah, not direct. Yeah. Excuse me.
Well, it was directed by Peter Jackson. I think Robert Zemeckis like produced it or
okay,
or something like that. What's your relationship to this movie, guys? Like, when did you first see it? Have you ever seen it before this? Like,
I thought I know I've seen this movie before because I remember parts of it. I distinctly remember parts of this fucking movie, but like watching it, I couldn't for the fucking life of me remember a single goddamn word of dialogue that these morons threw at each other. And there's a fucking lot of it, actually. That was one of the things that I liked about this movie is like there's a lot of funny banter.
I think especially from Bill Paxton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
love Bill Paxton in this movie, man. I
Well, so-
absolutely fucking love him. He's such an asshole.
I felt like such a dipshit because opening credits, it was like Bill Paxton's in this. And I was like, oh no shit.
Yeah.
And then didn't realize he was Chet the
You mean Chip?
entire time.
You didn't
Yeah, he just
Yeah.
so
No,
young.
dude, yeah,
all
he
that
does
stuff,
such a good job.
Just such a, I guess, kind of almost like a character actor
Yeah.
in this movie. And so it wasn't until the credits started running, I was like, oh.
I saw
But
it,
also,
and I had to take a good hard look at him because I was like, wait, no. I was like, holy shit, man, that's Bill Paxton. And wow, he is an asshole.
Yeah.
Like he has the best worst example of a buzz cut hairstyle I've ever seen. Like I hate that hair. It's so
anyone with a haircut like that is an asshole.
yeah.
Actually, I didn't sound like a 55-year-old dude from Louisiana who was really into jazz when I said that. But we'll get into that.
Look at his haircut.
Yeah.
With a haircut like that, you know he's an asshole.
Yeah, fucking voices.
He didn't have his license, Lisa.
That's just so funny. It's so dumb.
But
A fucking voice. I'm not doing that voice. I'll say that right now.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That shit is like, no, man, you can't do that anymore. Fuck off.
yeah, I mean, I watched this movie a few times as a kid, but it had been feels like eons since I watched it. And I can't remember if I told Janelle this last night. I know I did definitely with the next movie in our series. It's like, why has it been so fucking long since I've seen this? Just, it's so good.
It's just a fun fucking movie, man. I mean, from beginning to end. It took me a while to realize when I saw this movie, like years later after watching it when I was a kid, primarily was that one of the bullies was fucking Robert Downey Jr. Because he also looks fucking young as shit.
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Baby.
He still has the fucking He still has those fucking like raccoon model eyes of his.
And he also looks like his voice is barely like dropping almost.
Yeah, exactly. That
That
was something that threw me when he was speaking. I was like, that doesn't sound like him. But fuck, he's got to be super young in this. I'm like, no, it's definitely.
Yeah, Janelle has never seen Weird Science, and so I was telling her some of the people that were in there, and so I sent her a picture of RDJ from this movie, and she was just like, "Oh my god!" Like,
yeah, right,
so young.
That scene, like whenever those two guys are kind of flirting with Lisa at the party, and they kind of like bat their eyes at her and shit.
Downey just.
What is that? They did like a little like mouth thing, like
yeah.
Like, no, it was hi, and then she goes, "Hello."
Kind of blow a kiss or
yeah. He blew a kiss. Not RDJ, but the other guy. He said hi. They mouthed hi, and then blew a little kiss, and then RDJ just kind of just smiled goofily, and then like fluttered his eyelashes, and then she just smiled back at him like, "You handle the drinks. I'll kill the girls."
Oh yeah, that's right. What did those chicks? What did their girls say? Their girlfriends say when they got there, like they saw Lisa and they were like, "Oh shit! If the guys see her,
if they see her, we're done." Yeah.
Like I was thinking, like, are they gonna fucking like, I was thinking they were gonna try some, like some fucking daytime drama bullshit or whatever, like, and lock her in the fucking bathroom or. I don't know, throw her in the pool.
It's kind of shitty. That's their thought the first time they see another girl that may be like more attractive than they are. Like they're like, oh, they're
territorial or whatever. Yeah. No, we need to kill this bitch.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, this movie is about two guys who create this woman, and basically she takes them out of their comfort zone. First off, takes them to a jazz club, which they had no business being at, and probably one of my favorite scenes in this movie. Is just that whole dynamic between the regulars at the bar and them
and these two kids. Yeah,
these two fucking underage.
What was the term they called Gary Malacca?
Yeah, Malacca.
Malacca.
Yeah.
Which I should have looked up. But I was like, whatever. It probably means just like a goon or idiot. I see Roland doing some crack research on the spot.
I've heard that word before.
But it's I'm pretty sure it's some kind of like derogatory term for some
No,
like,
yeah, it is.
loser kid or something.
Yeah.
It's a profane Greek slang. Literally means man who masturbates. It's just some jerk off, I guess.
So it's jerk off is basically what it is.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I also remember hearing I forgot the name of the actress. She plays Nadia in What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh yeah.
No, her name.
What
but I
about her?
She said that before. She said Malaka in
Okay.
I'm pretty sure she said or some variation of it.
And I want to say there was an MF Doom verse that had Malaka in it. I think on the Victor Vaughn album.
It's slang to begin with, so there's really no
Yeah.
way to I assume.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gary's response to being called a Malaka was pretty
Yeah,
good.
that was
Kind
funny.
of broke the ice between like all of them.
Like, yeah, well, apparently she does, you know.
Right.
Like,
She's like, what do you that guy's like, hey, you like Malakas?
Well, he goes, "What's a pretty lady like you doing with a
Yeah.
Malaka like this?"
Yeah.
And
Did she say?
I forgot what she says, but Gary just goes, "She's into Malakas, you know." Like,
She's into Malakas.
yeah.
Dino. Yeah. So like that threw me off because I was like, isn't Dino Italian? But no, he's Greek. So
not sure what that guy was. Though. Like,
I'm pretty sure he was.
although that guy did play he's also been in other John Hughes movies. He was in 16 Candles. He was the fiance of one of the daughters, and he was also the janitor in fucking Breakfast Club as well.
Really?
He's been like
Who?
John Hughes universe there.
What other John Hughes movies has he made where he used those? Because I recognize one of the guys that played one of the biker villains that breaks into their house at the end of the movie, kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, the dude with the what?
Who's the guy who's like no facial hair and no like he's bald and everything?
Yeah, dude. I was trying to figure out who that goon is.
That guy has come out in the movie The Hills Have Eyes, like the original ones. Like he's one of the desert folk or whatever. But he also he always plays like this weird like character, like of some sort of villain or something.
Yeah,
I've seen him in other stuff, and I probably should have looked him up, but out of sheer laziness, I didn't. But that's one of my favorite characters in this movie.
Really?
It's I think that last line he gives, like
yeah, Can we keep this between us?
I really don't. I really like to keep my teacher job.
Yeah.
God bless.
You know, it's funny. I feel like that was something. If I was a teacher, I'd say that if I was like in some kind of like fucked up situation at a party, like, can you just like
the biker chick that was with him also was like, "Oh, I love your place." What did she say? You have a beautiful house.
Yeah.
But that main guy was from like Mad Max.
Yes.
He basically looks like the same character coming into this movie as he does in the Mad Max.
Chin of his.
Yeah, but I saw something on YouTube regarding that because I was like, this guy looks very familiar. I don't know where he's from. Yeah. And then someone brought it up where he has like the same white face paint in Mad Max. Like, he has the same gear. So like, it was brought up and in some sort of like probably like kind of like theory that maybe Lisa had seen Mad Max, so she brought those characters into that.
I mean, it's probably a assumption.
That's likely.
Yeah.
So, damn, I don't have and I also don't want to make my screen go super bright right now, but our kind of the format we want to follow for this, I think we can get into that here in a second, because I think that I can maybe tie in the Mad Max thing when it gets to the creation of Lisa.
Okay.
As usual, we're jumping all over the place.
Yeah. Just some quick banter beforehand before we actually get to the actual format. This movie does follow a basic premise, but the part that we want to talk about a little bit more is the science aspect of weird science. And I say science in like giant fucking quotes.
Ghostbuster science.
Yeah, Ghostbuster science, if you will.
You take that back.
That's the real science.
So we have
big shit you learn in college.
In 1985, what kind of computers were available at the time?
Zenith?
like
Instead of
IBM,
Zenith.
fucking I don't. Oh, the ones that they were fucking with, maybe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised because those were floppy disk fucking computers.
Yeah.
Not 3.5-inch floppy, the old
5-inch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also read that the name Lisa was kind of premeditated, where she was actually named by John Hughes after the Apple Lisa computer. This is prior to like
Jesus Christ, I completely forgot about that shit.
not I wouldn't say Tim Apple, but what's the fucking guy that died first? Steve Apple.
Steve Jobs.
No,
Got
I
it in
believe his name
one.
was Johnny Appleseed.
Wrong movie.
He had named a computer, one of the desktops, Apple Lisa.
Yeah, the Lisa. Yeah.
So that's why it was named Apple Lisa. And
Interesting.
it wasn't an Apple computer, right, that he was using?
No.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Like at the time, like I didn't get a computer till 2001, guys. So
Yeah, I couldn't determine what kind of machine he was using, but it didn't follow the standard aesthetic that early Macs had, and nothing about some other early workstations. That usually had beige involved in the color scheme, but they're like browns and blacks, I think, that were on Wyatt's rig.
I don't quite remember too well.
But this is also when really I'm not sure how. Well, because of course all the fantastic bullshit with like the hacking was nonsense, but with
that was
some of the green text and stuff, and kind of like the more MS DOS-y kind of environment, like that looked about right.
I mean, it just looked like they were fucking around with a screensaver from the 90s.
Yeah,
well, I did have a question. There's a piece of tech that he has, and I saw this also in the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick. Where,
yeah, that's old school modem, dude.
Yeah, they get the telephone.
Yeah,
on the thing. Is that like legit? Like
it used to be.
Like they get the telephone actual handle and just put it on some kind of like thing, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, it allows them to access the phone line. Like it's.
But I'm just curious as to how that does, because I mean, if you're just getting the handle and putting it on something, like how does that work?
I mean, I can guess. I wouldn't be able to tell you specifically.
Because I know in both those scenarios, they use that to like hack into the military mainframe or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah,
to bust through and like get all this information that's just like random ass text that's fucking going up and down the screen. I don't know anything about that. I'm assuming anyone who watched these movies at the time, like I'm gonna say about 99% of the people that had no computer. So they were just buying, like you could do any of this kind of shit in real life with these this minimal tech that they have.
Well,
it
wasn't minimal tech. Like the shit that he had there. Yeah, super expensive. Way the fuck like beyond their what high school kids can manage for starters, obviously.
Well, yeah. Why
everything that they were fucking doing, everything that they were fucking doing was bullshit. Like they were creating an AI, they were feeding it data. Like, okay, so that was kind of cool how they were like scanning pictures in, because that, if I'm not mistaken, is how you feed an AI information. You give it images.
Yeah, but I don't know how the computer in 1985 made the leap to go, oh, here's a picture of Albert Einstein. Yeah. So instead of making Lisa look like maybe have like the hair of Einstein or the mustache or something, somehow the machine knew, we're looking at his brain for that. Right. Yeah.
That was the thing. Like apparently fucking Wyatt like just hits a couple buttons and puts a brain together for her, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Make her stupid. What was one of the fucking categories?
Like it was a 5th grade brain.
Yeah.
Like dumb. They say dumb as shit or something.
Yeah, boring as shit. I think is what it was. Yeah, but I can't remember what the middle category was.
Like something slut. I don't remember. Fuck. Nah. So
yeah. So
when they're creating the actual physical aspects of her, and like they're creating like the breasts and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like coming in and out.
That wireframe bullshit.
Wireframe, yeah. Fucking Gary's quote, "You have anything more than a handful, you're risking a sprain." Like,
You're risking a tongue sprain. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, because like originally they tried to give her big tits, and they were like, no, and they're like, okay, and you see the wireframe tits bounce a little or something as they shrink back or something like
Yeah.
it's some goofy crap.
And I'm sorry, but not big. It was not sufficient. We're talking, just absolutely enormous breasts, because
yeah,
they're like, about to break through the fucking computer screen.
yeah, they're like circus tits, like they're like coming out so much out of like the screen, like they have to like go backwards, because it's just so huge. When they're like feeding the images to the computer, and that image of David Lee Roth comes out, I go, was that computer even capable of handling that kind of picture image?
Oh yeah, you say it's too much. It was just like a sensory.
Well, I mean, everything else is very like wiry, green screen, like green text on black background.
All the pictures of the Playboy tits that they're putting in there.
No, like the actual computer itself.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Like the video image of David Lee Roth on like fucking Dave TV or whatever the fuck. Could that computer handle?
Yes, but the resolution is
high resolution. Yeah.
It's gonna look like ass. Yeah, it can. Sure.
I'm not back then. I'm gonna say absolutely fucking not back then. I mean, because this is back in like OG Oregon Trail and stuff like that. And yeah, but your point, Roland, I think you're trying to make, like, even if the computer could manage that, its resolution would be so shit, because we're talking, like these computers were like 8 to 16 bits, like Nintendo, early Nintendo style,
big pixels.
But
so I mean, one of the other things what else did they do to like create Lisa? So they hooked up a doll.
They played with some fucking circus science. That's what I'm gonna call this shit here. Because like they're both watching TV, they're chilling. Was it Wyatt's parents are out of town, and so he invites Gary. Gary is like, all right, I'm gonna chill, and so they're watching Bride of Frankenstein, right? I think.
No, they're just watching regular Frankenstein.
Oh, you're right. Excuse me. It's just it's old school fucking Bela Lugosi.
There's one small detail that I noticed, and it's from the many times I've seen this movie. There is a scene when they're in the kitchen watching the movie.
Yeah,
and it happens to be in black and white.
And then later it's in color. Yeah, I always wondered about that. So, but I'm wondering if
I just assumed they had a TV there that was black and white and another was color. A lot of people.
There's another thing also, is that scene was never in the original one that I saw. That must be some kind of either director's cut or something. That kitchen scene did not happen. Okay. Like the movie starts when they get pantsed in the gym. Yeah. And then it cuts immediately to Gary in the restroom fucking with Gary's like shaving cream. It jumps to that instead of like the kitchen.
Yeah.
There was a few scenes that were added in here that I was for sure certain that I'd never seen prior to this.
I liked the kitchen scene because it made me laugh. It just showed me how silly ass a fucking character Gary is. You like go to the fridge and pull out like 5 frozen pizzas or something.
Yeah, didn't unwrap them, just threw them in the microwave. Yeah,
pulled out
like a 2-3 pound thing of ground beef and some other random shit. Yeah,
as he's sipping his little glass of milk like it's fucking whiskey or some shit.
I just realized that I think I said he was fucking around with Gary's stuff, but it was actually Wyatt's stuff.
You did, but it's all good.
Yeah. So they're watching
Frankenstein, basically.
Frankenstein everywhere, and while they're doing this, Gary's just positing the question, or you can see he's working some shit out in his head, kind of thing, because he's bitching about how they're basically losers, right? In the beginning of the movie, they're like, "We don't have friends. Nobody likes us." They're like, "Oh yeah."
They're saying their fantasies out loud in school.
Yeah, like David Attenborough, but like filthy.
Yeah, and you get those guys in the back, they just hearing all this nonsense of them like postulating.
As they're standing,
they're almost stars of the school. They're so popular now that everyone's
staring at all of these fucking women.
Well, what would have been nice, or what actually probably should have happened, particularly because it's an 80s movie, is that
Should have been a
While they're
shower scene.
watching the girls doing their gymnastic stuff, the two that Gary's narrating about and how they're going to fall, these two particular gals are going to fall madly in love with them. Those are RDJ's and the other guy's girlfriends.
That's right. That's
So they
right.
probably should have gotten an ass kicking, for an 80s flick, but
I mean, this
They got
so
pants, so it's kind of
they got lucky just to be humiliated, I guess, or maybe it's
I mean,
worse. I don't really know.
there's plenty of ass kickings or threatened ass kickings in this movie, so it's got that 80s, a bit of that 80s fucking theme in there.
yeah.
They're in the kitchen watching Frankenstein,
Right.
and Gary goes, he would have been better off making a chick.
And then that's when Wyatt is like, well, he did, Bride of Frankenstein.
Bride of Frankenstein,
And that's
wasn't that?
Gary was like, oh, but she looked like, what'd she say? What did he say? She looked like a skag or something like that.
Well, the argument was that you couldn't make a beautiful woman to marry a monster.
Right. Yeah. She's like, so they want to make a hot chick. Just watching this movie in Wyatt's room again, they're
Gary's like, he's right.
He's right.
And it was a beautiful, I think, job of script writing and directing, and where the scene where, Wyatt's like, you can't be serious or whatever. And Gary says, look in my eyes and tell me I'm not serious. And the lighting shifts and his eyes get super wide. But during that moment, I think you have Dr. Frankenstein saying crazy. I'll show them that I'm not crazy or whatever. It was just, I thought that was just a really well put together scene.
There are a lot of really good shots. I do like quite a bit of the camera work in this movie. I mean, pretty much everything. The sight gags are fucking hilarious. Like when they're in the. So firstly, I thought it was pretty amusing and ironic or whatever that the fantasy that Gary and Wyatt talk about in the beginning of the movie, like their plan, that's exactly how the movie goes, isn't it? They wanted to meet a cool chick, go out to party, go out drinking, go out driving, on the night on the town kind of thing, right? And then they wanted to come home to a big ass party, and I think that's exactly what they did, as far as everything.
Well, yeah, initially they basically wanted to be very popular, and Lisa does exactly that. She gives them that popularity.
Yeah, she enables them to realize, that they're actually pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah. Well, she pulls them out of their comfort zone, because like.
I'm sorry. I agree with you guys. I was just thinking about like, they're not that cool, but yes.
Well, like put in a scenario like they showed like that they could be cooler than they normally were.
So when it was really funny, like, I mean they all when they create Lisa, like basically it's like stepping into the Twilight Zone because the house gets struck by lightning.
Yeah.
What kind of weird shit happens? The fucking door like bulges out and bursts. One of the doors in the room went to the bathroom. That's where she appears.
Mind you, this also doesn't just affect the house though. This is affecting the entire, it seems like the entire vicinity of
town. Yeah, because like,
there's a dog that's like upside down.
Yes,
on the ceiling. Yeah, the welcome to whatever city they're in, Shermer or whatever. It catches fire. Yeah.
Yeah, this all these electrical things going on, or I really don't know how to.
They're causing all these.
They're causing all these like weird scenarios in the whole fucking town.
Yeah.
Well, everything is an electromagnetic field.
Yeah.
Interacting with itself or with each other, a la Ike. Then it holds that fields affect another or whatever. So. And whatever is brewing during the creation process is so powerful that it's impacting multiple fields, which I thought was really nifty.
Sure.
Particularly with all the crazy shit I've been reading. But anyway.
No, I mean, like that's all within the electromagnetism is crazy shit.
So they get the idea, let's do it. And they start trying to create Lisa. For some reason, the key thing that's missing is more power, but it's not defined. It's not really clear whether it means electricity or computing power, but assuming that because they hack into like the Air Force or whatever
something. There's just some
Yeah, whatever military organization
Surrounded
that's
by keyboards.
all of their tapes start spinning up and shit. And
I love when they panic and shit. And like,
man.
yeah. Oh, we've been penetrated. Like
Yeah.
they're pounding on the fucking boards and shit.
yeah, but I bet like back in the 80s, like it was just like, oh, the only way to really counteract is try to trick them. So let me type access denied.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you can have some kind of like boring sound effect where you get a strike and like go through these like very synthwave tunnels, you know.
Yeah, that was funny.
Similar to our background here.
So yeah, out comes Lisa, hot as fuck. And what's the first thing these morons do?
But we haven't even really finished talking about the science involved. Because I mean, these guys have car batteries that they're plugging up. Right, they get the doll that they put the little spikes in her neck.
Yeah, that's right.
And clamp it up and shit. And then they also have some ceremonial elements to it. Because balls in their head, couple candles lit.
The ritual.
Fucking Gary's making like kind of like
candles and
yeah. And so, and what I love, which actually I think it was probably really intentional by whoever's great idea it was. But did you guys notice that what the Lisa doll was laying atop?
Yeah, the game of life. The board game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I laughed at that. I was like, good. Finally, they found a use for that fucking thing. Game sucks.
I don't know, man. I played that shitload out of that when I was a kid, man.
I played it a lot and I hated it. I played it a lot.
It's just mad when your career gets fucked.
Yeah. Right. Can I sell my kids for rent money? No. Fuck. What good are they then? Yeah, that was really cool.
So yeah, but during this whole thing where they're simulating, what the entity to become known as Lisa was, a lightning storm comes.
Yes. So this thing starts fucking with the nature itself.
Yeah, which we got into or whatever. And then it got to the point where things kind of like just started spinning really out of control, apart from all the crazy, wind and lightning and shit going on in town. But also Wyatt unplugs his fucking computer and it's still running.
Is there a point in time where the computing powder that they were trying to infiltrate, I guess, and then like nature kind of came together and just that's what created Lisa, like nature and like technology coming together, regardless of like electrical power and stuff like that, like from the house. And it was nature's electrical power itself that was just basically powering the whole thing. Was there some kind of supernatural element involved?
I would say
did that ritual really help?
Maybe because later in the movie, when they replicate the experiment,
doesn't work.
In came the storm.
It does work. Yes,
it does work.
It does work, just not how they want. And actually, I have some comments / questions about that a little later when we get to that scene. Somehow they basically make a god,
right?
As Ray brought up in the synopsis, she's got godlike powers. She basically can just point at something, turn a light on, imagine up a car, it's there. Right. Generate people that all of a sudden think Wyatt and Gary are cool, and you got hundreds of people showing up to party.
People's memories. She can freeze. Apparently,
freeze people in time.
Aging. She can turn people into different things.
Yeah, she can transmute shit, man. It's fucking.
Which is what I remember about this movie. What happens to fucking Chet?
Yeah,
I saw that and I immediately all like, oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
It's fucking great.
What kind of creature was that necessarily? That's some kind of like weird smart monster,
I always thought it was kind of like a combination between a frog and a turd.
Yeah, a furd. Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah.
So yeah, they do. I think he eats a fly. He's got a long fucking tongue and goes, and then he fucking farts all over the place. I don't know. I would have just gone with a shit demon. I love that because it was pretty funny. What did the scene before that, Lisa tells him, she's like, I can be a real bitch when I don't get what I want. And then poof,
Yeah.
into a pile of shit.
But I mean,
Well-
he was also being a fucking dick too.
He's an asshole. Yeah, he's an absolute piece of shit.
Arguably, despite Bill Pat or Chet being an asshole, that statement did hold even for Gary and Wyatt, because she's trying to break them out of their shells so they can kind of become like self-actualized human beings rather than just being victims all the time.
Sure.
She summons up the biker gang that comes in towards the latter half of the movie
As a challenge.
and they all know the intimate things that happened to Gary and Wyatt because they told Lisa.
So she
manifested all this stuff in order to get her way, which is to, as she said at the end of the movie, I really got off to seeing you guys grow up or whatever it was.
Yeah, I really get off seeing you guys grow up or some shit.
Now, I do have a question for you guys, and I was kind of deciding whether or not this actually happened. None of them had sex with her at any point, right?
No.
Although they could have.
Gary gets too drunk.
Yeah.
And Wyatt
also falls asleep.
Yeah, he falls asleep when she starts 10 seconds into her acrobatic routine.
Yeah.
I think, or whatever.
Oh, gymnastics. But actually, another case in point why Lisa could be kind of a bitch when she doesn't get what she wants. After Wyatt passed out on her, the next morning he wakes up and he's wearing the panties and like the half cut shirt that she was wearing. And then I think that she was wearing the dress shirt that he was wearing the night before. Yeah. So if certain things in this movie went kind of differently, I'd be like, oh man, this is just a massive hallucination that Wyatt was experiencing, or Gary was experiencing, because all of a sudden, his buddy's the one in the panties and short shirt, but
and you get that scene where Chet sees him in the panties and like fucking takes off his towel. He's fucking
he tells him to cover up, so he takes off the towel around his waist and gives it to him. So it's like,
and you're treated to Bill Paxton mooning the camera.
Yeah,
funny.
Yeah, definitely treated.
And that ass, Christ,
ass don't quit, man.
It's fucking pretty funny, man. I just enjoyed seeing Bill Paxton being an asshole because.
And he does it so well too. I'm like,
he does.
I feel like Bill Paxton in every scene that he's in, whether it was like us first getting introduced to him, and he's like confronting Gary and Wyatt and they're drunk as shit, and then at some point he confronts him again because he's wearing the panties, and then he just leaves at some point to go hunting apparently.
Yeah.
And then he comes back, he has the fucking gun, and he's like taking like Gary, that girl, hostage almost, and pointing the gun like right in their fucking face.
Yeah,
I mean, like the barrels are on their noses.
Yeah. What does he say? He's gonna kill Gary, and she'll end up with a severe limp or something like that. She So,
but actually, I wish the doors in my house were a little bit different, because now if I have the choice, I want to open doors that are partially open the way Chet does after the initial
introduction. Fucking hits him with his elbows.
Well, no, he kind of did like a yes, but I think he kind of like booted it open with his heel.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like back in.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen anybody do that shit on TV forever.
I was just like, that's a way to get into a room.
I saw him do that. I thought it was pretty funny. Yeah, he does a little spin and then does a little kick and fucking elbows the door.
Do you guys think in that confrontation that Lisa had something to do with altering Chet's perceptions? Because he was really pissed off, and then all of a sudden he kind of like looks like he's about to throw up, and then he starts laughing, and then just goes to his room.
Well, I don't know. I don't. I think that's just kind of like a mechanism that he has to try to like gross them out because they're drunk.
I thought he was trying to fuck.
But he also does that. I think that when he's like that turd monster or whatever. Because like when he says he tells Wyatt, he goes, "I love you," and he goes, like he fucking like
Yeah,
does a
yeah.
fucking gagging motion too.
Like,
So
"Ugh, I can't believe I said
and then he
that."
starts like laugh because
Or maybe that's just something I kind of wrestled with because it seemed just like a complete just shift in, his overall attitude.
no, I just think it's just a dick thing to do because they're fucked up.
He's not that drunk. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much just a turd throughout the whole movie, and then not at the end or whatever, because he got, it was either that or stay as a turd demon or whatever the fuck he was.
Sure, yeah.
Where did we leave off?
I guess we're still talking about the science portion of this movie. Let's talk about that second instance where they want to prove their worth and attempt this
Right.
experiment again.
Yeah,
Well, basically, so somewhere along the way, there was a renegotiation, I guess, between, RDJ and his other bully buddy and Gary and Wyatt, because it went from, hey, you let us get a crack at Lisa, we'll let you like basically have our girlfriends.
right.
And it goes from there to now they're in the bedroom trying to recreate the experiment to make another girl. So then it's like, oh, is this, what? But it just was kind of weird because,
It's funny.
had to be
They were doing this whole experiment. Mind you, they didn't want to, I don't think they wanted to ask Lisa, but we know Lisa had the capability of making almost like a clone of herself.
Probably.
Insisting she has like godlike powers for them. But I mean, of course, Lisa at this point was trying to get Wyatt and Gary to, I guess, use their personality and their character to kind of get people to like them instead of, like she says later,
people like you for what you are, not what you can give them.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, they were just trying to make another Lisa.
Yeah, because they were trying to show off.
Yeah.
They couldn't just say no to RDJ and his fucking thug.
Right.
buddy.
Right. They wanted to seem cool, They wanted to seem like, yeah, we can do this for you.
But in their hubris,
yeah,
they forgot to plug up the doll. So the little electrodes that were supposed to be attached to a doll were, and I don't know how this works because they weren't actually like connected
on top, right? Like lying on top of the picture.
Yeah, just lying on top of a magazine that was a fucking nuclear missile. Mm-hmm. So I wonder, so the comment kind of thing I wanted to make about that was that rocket technically sentient then? Because it had all of the fucking Lisa data and stuff fed into it. So if it had, a mouth and all that stuff, I mean, it manifested a rocket, but like, was a rocket sitting there going like, oh, when you guys gonna try to fuck me,
No, it was trying to do the fucking stuff, like, yeah, I don't know. It's quite possible that it could have had some kind of a AI ability to
because what I'm trying to get at is that the fucking little Barbie doll that they initially used somehow became a woman, and then but it had all of the data fed in from the computer program,
right?
Even though that rocket was mostly inert except for like the exhaust and shit coming off of it or whatever to make it look spookier. Did that technically contain like the Lisa program? Like
it's quite possible that it could have.
I don't see why not.
But
I mean, we don't have any way to disprove it. So,
yeah, it's true. It's just
I mean, yeah, like if.
Well, I guess we're gonna have to email Anthony Michael Hall and just be like, "Hey, man,
right."
John Hughes is dead, so we can't ask him, obviously.
No.
Yeah, so that's why I jumped to Anthony Michael Hall because if everybody knows.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. The people still asking questions about.
Is that nuclear rocket still around? We can ask it.
Yeah. Let me check on Twitter. See if he's got a profile.
I did want to go into, and there was a new segment of this that I had. It was called Predictions. You're a teenager. You experience creating something out of nothing. What exactly is in store for Gary and Wyatt after this situation? Yeah, they have girlfriends now, but I mean, like the fact that people or those guys, Robert Downey Jr. and the other guy, know that they are able to create an actual human being.
Well, okay.
What happens to them?
So those goons wouldn't keep their mouth shut about this.
Obviously, yeah, exactly.
So my thinking is that they flap their lips too much, and then one of the alphabet organizations, went and recruited Gary and Wyatt for the tech that we don't know about that the government has.
Yeah,
So
you think they became government agents or something, like government officials?
Yeah, something black ops, black budget.
Wyatt for sure is working at like NORAD or something, right? He's got like,
and then RDJ and that other dickhead became like congressman or whatever, and they positioned themselves on the committees to allocate the black budget.
So Lisa is in the movie,
and they dumped those two girls, by the way.
Oh, really?
They got rid of them after high school. Like that was it for them. They're moving up.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the fucking alphabet organization that got Gary and Wyatt, they probably black bagged them and threw them in the back of a van and then forged letters, because this still would be, the 1980s, or held them at gunpoint and had them like break up with them over the phone or something like that, just so, or fake their deaths.
That's probably what it was, right?
And they're working in underground.
You're making a fucking like side movie to this.
I'm making a good movie here, guys. Weird Science 2 could happen.
Wyatt and Gary had way too much power. I mean, they created a human fucking being. Who's to say they couldn't create like super soldiers or something just by feeding the computer?
Yeah, and then
nonsense,
Oh, here's the plot of Weird Science 2. So all of this in line, but they have to figure out a way to capture Lisa. So then that way they could use Lisa as a fucking, super assassin spy thing or whatever.
Right. Because she doesn't just disappear. She just transfers over.
She just leaves. Like it makes it seem like she disappears, but in the end, fucking
So if
or something, right?
So assuming my plot doesn't work out, I think that the future for Lisa is she becomes like a mentor. Like every group of kids, she finds like the 2 or 3 dorks that need the Lisa treatment to kind of find themselves and find their way in the world. And she makes that her mission.
And on top of that, I would agree with you, Daniel, with that. For sure, that last portion, because like when she's as a gym, we see her as a gym teacher at the end of the movie. Like that whole line of dudes looks like a bunch of fucking geeks that need her assistance.
So
yeah, I mean they all fainted. You know?
Oh right. She tells them to drop and give her 10 or 20 or something like that.
And then half of those guys ended up dying in Desert Storm because they got inspired by Lisa.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, go do that. As I was just thinking though that like at the end of the movie, she probably just did what Lisa probably did what she did originally to Gary's parents, right?
Just make them forget.
Yeah, she fucked with their memories somehow, and made the dad, who's a prick, completely forget that he has a son.
Yeah.
And the mom is like just.
And also speaking of
parents suck.
The grandparents,
they're also assholes.
The parents come home. The grandparents are still in that fucking closet.
Sure.
Okay. So if Lisa was able to make the biker gang just pop in with all of their knowledge about Gary and Wyatt and shit right outside the house, what's to say that in her, fixing process that she just didn't teleport them back to their fucking residence?
Yeah.
And
just make them forget too, whatever fucking happened.
Yeah.
If they're real people, then sure.
I mean, because whenever she disappears, the whole the missile disappears, all the destruction to the house goes back to normal.
What else?
Well, that's basically it. But everything gets cleaned up after she disappears. So
yeah. Yeah. So it's like it never happened, except it got laid.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, man.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, if say you were Gary or Wyatt, and you created this crazy hot, awesome, fucking omnipotent, all powerful sex fucking goddess. Are you still gonna go after some high school chicks? Like,
Well, there's only one Lisa. There's going to create some kind of problems between high school boys and this one hot girl.
It didn't seem to. She was telling everybody she was both of their girlfriends through the movie, wasn't she?
That's true, but none of them had fucked her yet.
No.
Yeah, but that whole thing is supposed to also make them, seem cooler, so maybe it would inspire more interactions and, from the party goers writ large to.
I know that she's presented as like basically a sex doll, but that she actually takes the role of a mentor for them and like just basically fucking guides them into their first vaginas kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, to be in this scenario, they couldn't even get naked with her in the shower.
Yeah, that was.
They're not getting naked with their friends, so that's weird enough as it is, right?
Yeah,
but Wyatt will shit right in front of Gary.
Yeah,
so
one of my favorite scenes when they open the door and the two chicks are there and they're like, can we come in? Gary took a Gary took a shit.
Yeah,
because it stinks.
Yeah, he has like the fucking match.
Yeah,
he's got, like, the matchbook is like on the whole matchbook's on fire. Yeah,
the whole fucking thing. Like, yeah, why it takes a shit and then blames it on Gary.
She asked him, she's like, "What are y'all doing in there?" And he's like, "Gary's just in here taking a shit." He closes the door, fucking smacks
the door. Yeah, you just see him slap him, and he goes right back to opening the door. Like, yeah, I love that shit. There are a lot of these cool little hilarious fucking camera shots.
That's a good segue into the rewind section of our podcast now, and that is basically talking about our favorite scenes, certain scenes that you kind of had to go back and rewatch again, either because whatever reason, like you didn't believe what you saw, they're just something you wanted to see again because it was funny. One of my favorite scenes in this movie is whenever when Lisa goes over to Gary's house and she meets
yes,
that's actually so funny.
Yeah, that is absolutely one of mine as well, and that's the only quotes that I wrote down for favorite lines was related to this. So it's to set it up, Lisa's being very blunt with his folks about what's going on. She's like, there's going to be like 200 kids running around in their underwear acting like maniacs or animals or whatever. And I can't remember. She's like, this isn't part of my favorite. It's part of my favorite scene, but not the quote I was gonna get to. But she's like, not candle wax on the nipples or any witchcraft, but
yeah,
we're talking chips and dips, chains and whips, stuff like that.
Basic orgy.
Yeah. But
teenagers running around like animals.
But Gary's dad tried to send him to his room, and she goes, isn't it sad that the only sexual experience your son has is tossing off to, magazines? And Gary just starts going, I've never tossed off. And his mom, I just had to, so this is the quote. She's like, you said you were combing your hair. Yeah. You said the water running all day.
Yeah.
And the whole time Gary's just like, I've never tossed off. I've never tossed off.
Yeah. And he keeps using the two hands. He's like, I never tossed off. Like,
I never.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that scene is one of my favorite. I think, I don't know, it's because like she has that accent whenever his dad tells her to, lady, you get the hell out of here.
Or I'll throw you out. Yeah.
He's like, don't threaten me, Al.
You're out of shape.
Like, you're out of shape. I'll kick your ass.
Yeah. Yeah. That was awesome. Probably.
I would say one of my other favorite scenes is also the bar scene that we talked about earlier. With Gary getting completely fucking hammered and telling all the guys around her that story about the little 8th grade bitch with the big ass titties.
Yeah.
Everybody runs with it. What about them big old titties? Jesus.
And she
Christ.
kicked me in the nuts, man. And by this time, they'd already won over all of these, hard jazz dudes. And they're like, in the family jewels, like,
Worst pain there is.
Yeah.
And I love that fucking, maybe because like my hairline, but the dude was also bald. And
Bartending?
what's up?
When he was bartending at the party, or when he was there?
When he was at the bar, but also when he was bartending at the party, when RDJ and his buddy go up and the guy's like, what's up, my main man? And the guy just stares at him. Yeah, he just puts his hands up and he's just like,
All right.
all right, and
Don't touch.
then he orders scotch, and the bartender's like, how do you want it? And he's like, well, I was thinking about the whole bottle, and he's like, well, how about I bend you over and put the whole bottle up your ass?
Yeah.
and so his mom's like, oh, I'll have it on the rocks then. I thought you'd say that. And starts laughing to himself.
Like, you jive turkey. They just turn around and leave. They don't even get their drink.
Well, no, I don't think they left. I think they just turned around, just kind of like, oh, awkward, trying to wait for the drinks. But somehow they got a bottle, but it was probably through the vehicle of Lisa, because when they're sitting there trying to, be like, come on, baby, why don't you give us a chance or whatever, there is a bottle on the table. You see the little pour top thing, whatever the fuck those are called, to do like the perfect shots or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Daniel, you have some favorite scenes for us today?
Oh man, apart from what we already threw up, I think every scene with Bill Paxton.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure,
man. And also just from the sheer stupidity of it, the scene where Gary's trying to shave, and he doesn't even like apply the razor to his face, and and he's just like like he kind of like hits at it, but it's like, what are you trying to shave, bud? Like he makes this huge fucking mess. It's
just shaving cream fucking everywhere. Any other ones?
Yeah. Last one, in the mall, when Lisa's was walking out to the parking lot, but she's still like in the mall, but towards the entrance, and she walks by like the 4 or 5 dudes, and then the one chick on the end who was smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
So all the dudes were like, whoa. And you could tell that chick was super bitchy about that for whatever reason, because she like threw her cigarette like after Lisa.
Yeah, because she looked at her and she's like,
Well, fuck you, bitch, and just chucked her cigarette, flicked it at her, which I thought was just funny. So how about you, Roll?
Let's see. You guys, most of the ones that you guys mentioned are mostly my favorite scenes. I loved Bill Paxton in this because he's weird and goofy. When he gets turned into a turd, it's also fucking hilarious. I had a scene in my head that I was thinking about, and
Well, you think props to Wyatt's grandparents, though. They're sitting there at dinner, like, and his grandmother's like, oh, it's so awful that he's all alone. And his granddad's like, well, doesn't he have a book to read? She's like, I don't know. But the most important thing to a teenage boy are his grandparents. It goes back to the fucking rager they're throwing. Have you ever? I've never.
Yes.
Where the fuck are these grandparents from, dude? Like,
dude, it's like
it's the 80s, man. They're from the silent generation. They're gonna probably be.
I was thinking like the Northeast, because they're because like thinking back to MASH with Charles Emerson Winchester, he was from Boston, but he had that kind of whatever
off English.
Yeah, kind of just that proper sounding English where, oh yes, indubitably, yes. But I think that might be a regional thing. So, and
I thought it was a generational thing. I have an uncle and some or two that
they speak like that.
What?
Yeah. Are you serious?
They have so I have an uncle. He's like in his 80s. So he has a very
Are you sure he doesn't
strong-
sound like he's transatlantic? Like, and today, Roland, we're going to go to the fishing hole, and
Well, he lives out in Houston, and yeah, like I've had some, like, I remember some of my older family, like they have strange accents. Like it's not like an American accent. It sounds like it's got some kind of European in there, sort of thing, and like it just sounds sort of like distinguished for some reason or another. I don't know, but yeah, I always thought it was either some folks from like the New England area, or again, like boomers or some silent generation folks. That's an accent that they have. They get it from their family, that in their lifetimes. Like, for example, some of these folks can remember like when their families came over from immigrated or whatever the fuck, and they brought all those accents and shit with them, since I grew up with that stuff. But anyways, yeah. So as far as my favorite scenes go, I mean, yeah, when Wyatt's taking a shit was pretty funny. And then blaming it on Gary. I liked Lisa taking a shower.
Oh, that's fun.
Even
Obviously.
though, even though those two idiots were standing there the whole time. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm surprised John Hughes didn't get any kind of like actual nude scenes in this movie.
What? I mean,
because he does that in 16 Candles, and I mean, I think that movie
there are tits.
Yeah.
Oh, just at the very end when that girl's like getting sucked into the but that's real quick. I was wondering
real quick and thrown out the roof.
Yeah. Well, I unless like Kelly LeBrock had some kind of stipulation in her contract where she didn't have any like nude scenes. This movie.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. I thought she had some issues later on.
Speaking of Kelly LeBrock, did they not have a photo of her?
They did
that they fed into the computer. Okay, because I was like, it's something that looks really similar just because that 80s.
No, I think I remember them. They cut out a picture of a woman's face. And
yeah.
Well, they did a few, but I wanted to say that like Kelly LeBrock actually was one of them or whatever, which I thought was kind of like weird, because it's they're basically doing like a composite of all of these other like body shapes and yada 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 and feeding all that in. So I thought it was kind of a little out of place, but maybe that's just something for folks to just kind of catch as they watch the movie, and go, oh yeah, that little detail. I guess the computer felt that the Kelly LeBrock image was the best for Lisa based on all of the data rather than a proper composite.
Maybe, I guess so.
Was
there any other scenes that you had, Roland?
I'm trying to think of some. I mean, I liked it when they tried to create another girl again. That whole leading up to that, because you see RDJ and the Thug Buddy, and then Gary and Wyatt they all wear tit hats, bra hats, or whatever. Yeah. They all jump into the ritual.
Yeah,
they're like, "What do we do? What do we do? Big tits, big tits."
When it starts going awry and fucking RDJ's like, "I'm shitting my pants."
Yeah. Well, yeah, that I love that whole scene. Was
they're Gary and Wyatt are like real calm. They're just chilling out,
Yeah, they're sitting there sipping on some booze. Yeah,
they're like hiding under the table or some shit and screaming.
And they're just like, this is old hat at this point.
Yeah. I really liked that scene. It's just really funny to see fucking Robert Downey Jr. wearing a bra on his head. And
the gun scene at the end, where Gary, puts the fucking 6-shooter in the face of the main thug, and he's like, where did you get that thing, Gary? Don't even worry, it's just a squirt gun, and then bang, fucking shoots him.
I remember that scene as well. Seeing that, like, I knew immediately, oh, that's the fucking real gun. Like, let's just see. Yep, okay.
And was that Lisa? Because what if Gary did grab like the same gun that was a squirt gun in Lisa's hands when she blasted him in the face in the car?
He thought it was
no. But the thing is, Lisa can transmute things because she can change
Oh yeah,
licenses. You can
that was
make
her.
cars
He had
come out of
to.
thin
Where
air.
else would he have gotten it from? Like she
Yeah.
gave him. The
Oh
gun.
no, but to make the gun from a squirt gun to an actual firearm.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
That
Yeah.
was her totally.
Yeah. I mean,
let's go ahead.
To begin with, I mean, that's what she wanted them to do. She wanted them to just fuck these guys up in some way or another, or stand up for themselves, rather. I don't think it would have mattered if he'd have shot him, because unless they weren't summoned and they were actually just real bikers, then it didn't seem that way. So does it technically count as murder?
Hmm.
Well,
Are
I
they
mean, I
even
don't know
real?
if castle laws were in place or whatever, but and stand your ground and shit. But
I mean, are they even real people though?
He's coming. That's what I mean. Like, I didn't think he were, but he's coming right at me.
well, I don't know. Maybe they were real people because I mean, like, if they weren't real people, why would they? Why would the goon with the weirdly shapen head talk about like, can we keep this between us? I'd like to keep my teaching job. Like,
Comedy relief. How many times do they break the fourth wall in this movie? Twice. That's what I'm trying to think. When Chet is talking to Wyatt, what does he tell him? He tells him something, and then Wyatt looks at the
Oh,
screen.
he goes. Next thing you know, you'll be wearing a bra on your head, and that's when he looks at the camera.
Yeah, he
And
just
then
glances.
Gary looks at the camera whenever he sees Wyatt in his panties, and he walks past him.
yeah.
Yeah, there's that. And
I didn't remember.
another time.
I know they did it at the end of the movie too. Fuck, what was it? Damn, I can't remember what scene. I had it in my head and I lost it. But I like those moments. It's just funny. Like, yeah, anytime they break the fourth wall, they're really quick about it too. It's not a real like they don't like they. It's just a real fast little gag, and they they keep going.
One of the last things I do want to talk about is the soundtrack, and primarily the main theme to this movie, Weird Science, which was performed by Oingo Boingo, but again written by Danny Elfman. Surprise, surprise!
Oh no, shit!
Really?
Yeah, he sang the song actually. He's the one that actually wrote the song and sang the song. Again,
Wow.
Danny Elfman coming through with the fucking banger from the get go.
I mean, this would have been around the time that he worked on he finished working on Batman, right?
No, this was 1985.
No, first Batman was 89, I believe.
Fuck me. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
Huh. Trying to remember his early work and stuff.
well, it's surprising, of course. If you have Oingo Boingo, Danny Elfman, like, how many fucking theme songs are littered throughout the movies in the 80s and 90s? Like, it's fucking a shit ton.
Yeah.
So
just done so.
it was surprising, but also not that he had a hand in this soundtrack as well. But
yeah,
but it's just
cool fact.
I don't know. Just thinking about just kind of just the the general tunes that are associated with kind of the Elfman angle, and
yeah, he typically goes for like instrumental symphony.
Yeah, but even like listening to the instrumentals of Weird Science, it's kind of more like an 80s synthy pop, musical arrangements.
But that's where he's involved with his band, Oingo Boingo. So that's why you get some pop thing like this.
Okay.
Who
doesn't love that song? Christ.
No, it's just a fun song,
Awesome. Yeah.
So I do want to bring this episode to a close, and let's just get our ratings of this movie. So Roland, I'll let you go first. We're gonna, mind you, we're changing it up for the year 2022. We're not doing 1 out of 5, we're doing 1 out of 10. Let's give you more of a broad range of rating here.
I do not have the nostalgia that you obviously have for this movie, Ray. Growing up with it, I'd heard about this movie growing up plenty. I'm pretty sure I'd seen it at some point, but I forgot, I guess. I like the premise. I love the actors are cool. The banter's great. It's plenty of comedy. But growing up as a kid, I couldn't have given a fuck about this movie. I would have rather watched Star Wars or Alien or just like something more ridiculous. A lot of these like sort of, I mean, if you take the Weird Science aspect out of this could be just like a typical 80s comedy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like just like just pick any type of fucking 80s comedy, fucking just very, very down to earth.
Instead of
like-
two guys meeting girl, creating girl, they could two guys meet a girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You take her out of this, and this is just like a normal 80s movie to me. And like that whole I don't have an interest for it. I like it just seems to me like a rom-com sort of stuff, and I avoid that shit. But I did like the movie. I really did. There's nothing about this not to like. Now I'm saying this now, not before. So I'd probably give this movie about maybe about an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. All right.
Because there's just I don't have any complaints about this. There's everything to like. The soundtrack, the actors, again, the sets, the fucking the
I think it's a lot of it's the actors like sell it. You have Bill Paxton, that's fucking great already. You have Anthony Michael Hall. We already know him from different movies that he's done. So here he's just younger. So
probably one of the funniest fucking movies
Yeah.
he's done, or rather, the most comedy, I should say, I've ever seen him do. Because mostly what I know him for is like pretty serious roles.
right.
He's not a fucking joker.
Again, most of his younger career was basically playing the nerd. And he was like the geek or the young son in National Lampoon's Vacation. He's like Chevy Chase's kid. And then from there, he goes to like 16 Candles, where he's a real fucking nerd. And then Breakfast Club. He's also, again, this movie as well. So, I mean, like, at some point or another, you kind of want to break out of that same
He
role.
got typecast. Yeah.
So he was, I think the one time I saw him do something like completely different that I wasn't expecting, and I didn't even know it was him either, was when he played like the main football guy in Edward Scissorhands. He's one of the writer's boyfriend.
Oh wow! I don't.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he's that guy.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh shit, that's fucking like nerd from fucking Weird Science and Breakfast Club. I had no idea because he looks fairly different.
Yeah. Wow. Like of course, I haven't seen Edward Scissorhands in
fucking for a long time, dude.
Yeah, and it's
25
surprising
years.
to like realize, oh, that's
him.
That guy is, But yeah, so an 8 out of 10 for Roland. Daniel, what do you give this movie?
Well, first off, I need to kind of sell the idea that we're doing best of 10 or out of 10 rather than 5.
Right.
As
I figured we give ourselves a bit of a more of a broad spectrum to.
I like it. It's just a little unexpected, so I had to kind of go, well, like, where do I feel about it? Like,
yeah, there's not gonna. You'll be able to tell when we think something's good or shitty. I guess it'll be easier to see.
So kind of like Roland was saying, I don't really have the nostalgia factor on it, but I remember watching this movie, as a kiddo, liked it. Probably at the time didn't understand it, as with this viewing. Actually, I watched it twice. I just decided to just kind of fill some time after errands today and kind of just listen to the audio of it, just looking mostly for favorite quotes or whatever. But but this is a fantastic, kind of coming of age story in a lot of ways. Even though it doesn't follow the initial trope where it's like, but I mean, they are 15, so like that maybe not be a terrible term for it, but I mean, it's well acted, I think all the characters, even though this is one of those ridiculous kind of full of 80s stereotypes movies, that all the characters are believable because once again, as you mentioned, Ray, like the characters sell this,
right,
or the actors sell this. So I think that the stereotypical like ditzy popular girls, it's like, oh, that's believable, like, huh, right. Interesting. So I'm gonna probably have to, I guess I'm just gonna shit or get off the pot, as they say, and just I'll probably give it an 8 as well. I really think that with this series towards the, like, maybe do a cap or a a nightcap episode of sorts where we just rate the weird scientific elements of it.
Mhm.
We go back to the 1 to 5 for that one or whatever, and just, because more stuff as we watch through this series and stuff and think about it, then we can kind of do like our top villains episode, where we rated those, okay, what is the weirdest science, And I think that'd be kind of cool. How about you, Cosmic Beef?
I'm gonna say I will give this. I've seen this plenty of times, so I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. As far as like movies that I've seen from John Hughes themselves, this is not like the best one, but it is also very enjoyable. I do enjoy the actors themselves. Anthony Michael Hall, Bill Paxton, obviously, Kelly LeBrock, very, very attractive woman. Especially that accent, this sells it,
Yep.
I think since I've seen this movie enough, I wouldn't give it as high a rating as you guys. I think maybe if I had seen it just recently, I probably would have, because it is enjoyable and the jokes weren't of any surprise to me. Again, seen it so many times, so I knew basically what was coming. But I do enjoy this movie a lot, and I think it is it's held up well. It's stood the test of time, if you will. And I think John Hughes is a great writer director. He's made some fucking classic movies, and this is still one of them. So yeah, I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
All right. So
All right.
788 on board. Right on.
So still pretty high ratings for this movie. If you haven't seen Weird Science, check it out. I don't know if you can rent it or what, but
well,
it's still available for purchase too.
I think you could rent it on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can.
And Amazon.
But
I know Arrow Video. There's a steel Blu-ray version of it. Like it has like the hardcover and stuff. It's really nice. It's a really nice copy of it. But yeah, I mean, I personally look forward to like us going over some more John Hughes movies themselves.
What other movies has he directed? I don't.
Again, Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink. He did Home Alone. I told you.
Okay.
So, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a fucking fantastic movie. John Candy and Steve Martin.
Fuck yes.
That's where I know that movie. Okay, goddamn.
That's a beautiful movie.
It really is. Yeah.
Okay.
And it has one of the best scenes delivered by Steve Martin. Him in the airport talking to that chick, the clerk.
Yeah.
I will watch anything
like fucking now. Fucking, he like throws fucks around like crazy. So it's one of the best scenes that Steve Martin's ever done, personally, to me.
And I would argue that, I mean, although I am reminded of like Uncle Buck and a few other films,
John Candy's great in this movie.
Yeah, this is probably one of his strongest performances of his career. Like, just
for sure,
like hands down.
Really good actor.
I'm not even willing to debate people on that, because I don't think that there's a debate really to be had. Right. It's like talking to flat earthers,
So if you did like any of this, please like and subscribe to this channel.
Yep.
We have more coming your way, more videos, more not just movie reviews or movies about some weird science, but like horror movies coming up, new movies coming up, different topics that we're going to be talking about as well. So, subscribe to the channel and hope to entertain.
And if this is your first time checking us out, we've got about we're on episode 80 now or so, or in the 80s.
Officially it's in the 80s, but like I'm pretty sure we've hit past 100 on the channel itself.
Right. But we've got a backlog going back, about 3.5 years of just different shit, guys. And so if you like movies and kind of have sometimes an obscure taste in film, we probably have something you'll like.
You can also check out the community tab on the actual channel, and you'll see our other channels, Valley Strange, I'll have my channel Cosmic Beef, which will have like Anatomy and Mixtape podcast on there as well, so you can check that out as well. And that's it. I guess we'll see you on the next weird, strange science.
Go watch this movie if you haven't seen it.
Just watch it.
Yeah, if you listen to us about watching this movie, like we're sorry, guys,
Like
you fucked
anything
up.
about the 80s. like anything about 80s culture, watch this fucking movie.
Yes, every movie we talk about is gonna have spoilers. So like, but us talking about it doesn't do the movie justice itself. You should
No,
really check it
man,
out.
like it's.
Oh hell no!
I don't know about you guys, man, but like I am pretty far past the age of giving a shit about spoilers or hearing them from people because I'm like, okay, cool.
unless it's a new movie, I'm kind of iffy about that.
like okay, it's like unless it's something I really want to see, I'm probably not gonna care. Like I'm just gonna be like, look, okay, cool, you told me this, now I want to see it. Like it's not the same as just
it is very true, but I mean, I personally don't care. I know you don't care, Roland. Some people out there do.
oh, absolutely, no, absolutely.
So, I mean, to me, if I find something out about a movie, it doesn't affect me in any way. Like, I still watch it, and it won't make any difference because coming up with our next movie, I've seen this a bunch of times, and I still react the same way every time I watch this fucking movie, even though I know what's going to happen in that goddamn movie. So,
are you talking about Short Circuit?
The next movie we're going to talk about is Short Circuit. So,
yeah,
stay tuned for that next episode coming up.
Number 5 alive, bitches.
We'll see you next time. Have a good one.
See you, dudes.
Peace.